Okay, so we will call officially the meeting to order at 1:09 p.m. And I have a limited view here. So we're gonna start with the roll call so that I too can hear who's actually present and who's not. So do we have Craig Pepper in the room?
Yes, I'm here.
Fantastic. Dave Brennan.
Here.
Mark Tannenbaum. Okay, I'm here, Melinda Meyer. Jeff Zalonis.
Here.
And we have our ex officio members. Do we have Jason Wazorek? Jason is absent, as well as Mark. And do we have Chris Kinder?
I'm here.
Awesome, very good. So our first item on the agenda is to review the meeting minutes from our not January 6th. I think our last meeting was actually in March, so we'll review our March meeting minutes.
Jeff did have those. I have digital copies, but I did not get any printed out for today. But I can forward those to everybody.
Okay, well, we can vote on it next meeting, right?
So just for clarification, Chris, the Historic Review Commission members do not have access to the minutes from the March meeting?
Yeah, Jeff sent them to me last week. It's my fault. I failed to get them printed out on time. I just thought of that when I came down a while ago. I was getting all these files ready for the applications. But we do have them. I just did not have any printed out. I can forward them, email them, or forward the email to everybody.
Okay, so let's go ahead then and table the review and approval of the March meeting minutes for our May meeting.
Sounds good.
So we'll have to make note of that. At our May meeting, we'll need to review and approve both the March and the April meeting minutes. Okay, then we jump to old business. And we have, Chris, I'm guessing that you're prepared to talk with us a little bit about where the development of the Historic Preservation Plan is.
Yeah.
And what's on the horizon for us.
Yes, I don't have really a big update yet. They are working on the state of the city on historic preservation paper, which should be out this month. I'm expecting it by the 15th. That'll kind of address where the city is, how the city stands on historic preservation. It'll, I think, help kind of provide some guideline to what the preservation plan will look like. So once we get that, then I'll be sending that out to everybody. And I'm sure there will be some Zoom calls or some Zoom meetings to kind of discuss that paper. Right now, we're technically on schedule to have the plan completed by the end of the summer, or hopefully approved by the end of the summer, accepted by the city council. But the next step is the state of the city report. I also know that they are working on the plan. We've gotten some emails requesting additional digital GIS files and things like that, so I know that they're working on the plan. And so soon after we get that state of the city report, we should start receiving a draft, hopefully by the end of May or the first part of June.
Okay, sounds great. Do commissioners have any questions about the work on the Historic Preservation Plan?
Not this time.
Okay. Yes, Chris, please do keep us and the steering committee informed as the Lakota group develops drafts of each of the different components of the plan. I think It'll be very interesting to see the results of the public engagement process, both the in-person meetings and the survey, the online survey, which were used to collect public comments. So it'll be great to see drafts.
And this is certainly going to be the part where the
various
steering committee really
components.
comes into play, is for that draft, or for those drafts. So once we start getting drafts, and that's when the steering committee will start being really engaged.
Fantastic. Okay, so the next item on the agenda under old business is an update on the local designation of the Mayor Building, which of course we also know as the PACA Building.
Yes. So that's done. It is an official, it is our city's official first historic landmark or local overlay landmark. It's an individual landmark. We do have a nomination in process for the buildings next door. So we'll need to discuss those and look at that, and hopefully that'll be something we can look at the May meeting. But yeah, we do have our first official designation, so.
Awesome. So again, we want to thank Chris, your work behind the scenes to help make that happen, as well as the efforts by the city's planning commission, as well as city council. There's a lot of process involved to designating a historic resource, so there were a lot of people involved. So we're appreciative of everyone who was working behind the scenes to make this happen. Chris, I know it's not necessarily part of the agenda, but I'm wondering too if you might be able to just quickly provide us with an update on kind of all of the paperwork with the Pennsylvania State Historic Preservation Office. I know we've got a number of kind of items hanging out with grants that either have been approved and we were waiting on certain documents for, and or we're still waiting on applications to decisions to be made on applications. Would you be willing just to quickly provide commissioners with just a quick update?
Absolutely. So there has been a lot of delay in getting paperwork to be reimbursed for the 2021 CLG grant, which partially funded my first year in position. So we're still waiting on paperwork. It needs to be closed out. If it's not closed out soon, my understanding is we have to get it reappropriated through City Council. So I'm hoping that we can just get that done and out of the way. We're also still waiting on paperwork from our conference last year that we were given a scholarship grant for, and then waiting for paperwork to get reimbursed for the training that we did with the NAPC last September. So I'm waiting on all of that paperwork so that we can get reimbursed for those grants. We have never yet heard word about our 2022 application for a CLG grant. My understanding is that some were approved. I don't know that we were approved or not approved. I did get an email about a week and a half ago talking about the 2023 CLG grant application, which is not due until May 15th. We'll be applying for that as part of, I think we need to probably discuss what we're going to use that money for. We certainly want to use it for either continuing the survey or to potentially use it to have residential design guidelines created. Both are needed projects for us. We were awarded a 2022 Keystone grant. I am currently working on the RFP to hire a consultant to do the consulting, to do the survey work, the comprehensive survey for the city of Erie, which is also needed and long overdue. We'll have to do that one kind of in sections and phases because we haven't heard whether we're getting a 2022 CLG grant or not. So we'll have to do that grant in phase, or that project in phases, which is fine. It's not really going to change anything other than just make it a little slower. And I think that's where we are for those grants at the moment.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate you staying on top of all of those applications, and certainly with all of the staff changes at the State Historic Preservation Office. They are admittedly behind in a couple of areas, so thanks for staying on top of that.
Sure.
Okay, so then we jump to our new business, and well, actually, I'm going to say that we probably can keep the review of the first 4 applications. That probably does fall under old business, since we initially began that discussion of the first 4 applications to the Historic Building Improvement Grant Program at our March meeting. So we'll jump to those first. We do have a number of applications that have come in recently, and I see we've got some folks that are part of the kind of the newer batch of grant applications present, both in person and via Zoom, so we'll hear from them as well. So if commissioners are ready, we'll begin our discussion again of the first 4.
Before we jump in, Melinda, Peter Pence, we do not have. I'm going to advise that we table that one. I've not been able to get in touch with them to ask our questions about their application. I'm going to keep trying again this next week, so hopefully we could get them on the May agenda. And under the new applications, Daniel Zialonis withdrew his application.
Okay.
I have a question before we go on, Melinda.
Yeah.
What will be the process now, Chris? We will discuss,
Process.
we rate, where does it go from there?
The process should be, as applications have to be submitted a week and a half before a meeting to be on the next agenda. So those that are on this agenda were ready, completed, and we're in time for this meeting. It's up to the commissioners whether they have enough information to vote to approve or deny the application, or to table it to ask more questions. That's up to the commissioners. Hopefully what we'll be able to do is each should have a cover letter describing that it's eligible, how it's eligible, if there would be any adverse changes or effects to the buildings. So kind of my recommendations on each application. And then it's up to the commissioners whether they are ready to vote on each application, or if they need additional information, or if they feel it's an application that can't be approved.
So for the people that were here last time, obviously, but the people here now, they will get a chance to speak about
Yes.
their application before
Yes.
that?
Yes.
And then the voting is, we went through and we ranked them all. Are we
Yes.
voting by rank? Are we voting just up and down? What's the?
It's up and down. Haven't had a privilege of looking at your comments or your sheets. We can discuss that in terms of when we discuss each application, and go from there.
All right, so the people in attendance can speak about their
Yes.
their application. We can ask them any questions. All right, and at the end, it's either yes or no, and it needs to be.
Yes, no, or tabled.
And tabled means that they can resubmit, or we don't have enough information.
Don't have enough information, revise the application, maybe add additional material. Maybe it's something where we want to, or maybe I need to, or Melinda should visit the property to kind of look at it to see if things, make suggestions. But yeah, it's really up to the commissioners once we've talked to the applicants. After you've reviewed the application, then it's up to the commissioners whether they want to vote on the application or table it.
Okay, so approved or not approved or tabled, and then after that, it goes to the redevelopment authority.
Yep,
After that, it's.
I take it and write a new letter saying that it was approved, and then I send it on to the redevelopment authority to administer the actual grant.
And just for clarification of the people here, all is I want to say voting on, what we're approving is that it meets the historical
Yes.
character of the building.
Yes.
Nothing about business, nothing about the cost,
Nope.
nothing about the labor, nothing, it's just yes or no, does
Yes.
it meet the historical
Yes.
character of the building?
Anything that's within the guidelines, we can ask questions on and vote on.
Okay.
The administering of the grant is up to redevelopment authority. I'll play a role in that, I'm sure, doing the inspections, reviewing the final reports, things like that. But the commission's role is just to review the applications to make sure it meets the guidelines, and that it doesn't really cause any adverse effects to the property.
Will the redevelopment authority have like a secondary screen saying they will review, we got 11 applications that they will say they're all approved, or they're going to go through another internal process?
No, we're the ones who approve it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if-
So they, excuse me, so we initially say that we think it's of merit,
Mhm.
and then it goes to the
Redevelopment authority.
redevelopment authority,
Mhm.
and then the final vote is down the road.
No, final vote is today. If you choose to vote on the applications, the vote is at this meeting. We don't vote any further after we've heard the application. The only time we would vote further is if it's tabled. If we approve the applications, it goes to redevelopment authority. We don't see the application again. It's up to the redevelopment authority to administer the grant, and to make sure that the project is,
And what is our total amount that's able to be,
we have $840,000.
and for how long of a period of time?
Everything has to be under contract by December 2024.
Okay.
And we are, right now, I have probably the same amount of applicants for the next month's meeting as well.
And so
it's-
how, just tallying up what we have right now, what did they come to?
Today,
Yeah,
I
I
think-
didn't,
I think we have 13 that are actually going to be, we have 15 on the agenda, 2 of the ones tabled or should be tabled, and then one's withdrawn, so 13 total.
so what is the dollar amount of the total?
I haven't calculated the total dollar amount for each one. But on the applications, it should be the amount the applicants put on there. We'll keep track of that amount that we have to spend, or that has been spent or given, as we approve and review these applications.
Okay.
But I do not have a total amount now, because they're not approved, so there's not necessarily a reason to keep track of the amount in these applicants until they're approved.
Okay.
Are commissioners understanding the process?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So let's begin with, again, the first 4 that we had looked at previously. On the agenda, we have the proposal from St. Stanislaus Church. They had requested funding to repair the mechanism of the bells, so that once their project is complete, the bells of St. Stanislaus will again be heard throughout the community. So hopefully each commissioner has had the opportunity to read the cover letter that Chris has prepared, which explains how the building itself meets the criteria for being historic, right? In some cases, we have properties that are either listed on the National Register of Historic Places and/or have been determined eligible for listing. Or we have buildings that have been determined eligible for local designation. So those are the requirements for, or how we are defining historic resources for this grant program. Do we have any discussion or questions pertaining to the application for St. Stanislaus Church?
Is anybody present for St. Stanislaus? They are not.
They were present last month.
They were, and I had a meeting
We
with
had the
them a couple
opportunity
weeks
to
ago as
chat
well.
with them. Hearing no questions, I'm going to go on the assumption that each of you used our scoring matrix to kind of come up with a score or your comments for each and every application. So let's see. All those in favor of approving the application for funding for St. Stanislaus's bell repair project, please signify by aye.
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 Okay. Do we have any noes? Okay, hearing none, the application for St. Stanislaus is approved. Next on the list is the Pence application, and Chris, I had the same thing marked down. We just don't have sufficient information to be able to properly evaluate this.
I'm sorry.
Um,
I thought this one was tabled, Pence. He didn't have.
Yeah, and
It is.
I'll keep trying to get in touch
It
with him.
is.
Yeah,
So this one's tabled.
Tabled, yes.
Okay, thank you.
This one's tabled, yep.
Okay.
So moving on then to Mark Tannenbaum, and his application for the PACA building, also known as the Mayor Building at 1505 State Street. This is a door, basically they are constructing a new door for the front entrance of the PACA building. Even though Mark has, or PACA, I should say, PACA has issued an upfront check to confirm the contractor's availability. The project itself has not yet been started. Do we have any questions from commissioners pertaining to this project?
No.
No?
Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the grant application for the PACA building, please signify by yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I
Yes.
cover.
All of the
Approve.
Whatever, yes. Are there any opposed to this application? Okay. Hearing none, we have officially approved the PACA application. The next application is from Nicholas Ferguson for 537 West 8th Street. Just to make note of changes that were made since our March meeting, you'll note that Mr. Ferguson, who is both the owner of the home as well as the proprietor of the contracting agency that will be doing the work on the property, we asked him to revise his cost estimate so that he broke out the cost of labor, rental of equipment, cost of material, so on and so forth, so that we could see kind of the full breakdown of the budget. Again, wanting to be careful since he is both the homeowner and the owner of the company doing the work. So, do we have any questions from commissioners pertaining to this application?
If there's no issues that he's his own contractor, that's fine.
Yeah, and there was none according to the redevelopment authority.
Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approving this application, please signify by yes or aye.
Aye.
Yes, aye.
Aye.
Okay, are there any opposed? Awesome, okay. So then we move on to the brand new applications that we have not yet discussed in any way, shape, or form. And so do we have any representatives from the Erie Playhouse in the room?
Yes, we do.
Fantastic. Would they like to come to the podium and provide some general information about the scope of work for their project?
Good afternoon. My name is Richard Davis. I'm the producing director for the Erie Playhouse, and I'm here to speak to you today about our grant request for refurbishment of our marquee. The Playhouse is housed in the former Strand Theater. The Strand Theater was designed by Victor A. Rigamont and built in 1947. It was purchased by the Erie Playhouse in 1983 and turned into a live performance venue. In 2010, we refurbished the marquee, returning it to its original colors, updating the marquee's wiring to code and installing energy-efficient lighting and electronic signage while preserving the historical aspects of the marquee. The electronic signage has become defective. During the COVID shutdown, the east side of our marquee signage failed. At that time, we were able to have it repaired. We were told at that time that the technology for the sign was obsolete and that any further repairs to the sign would not be possible because replacement parts are not available. This fall, the west side of the marquee failed. 2 screens went dark and multiple pixels are malfunctioning, and even some pixels on the east side that were not replaced have started malfunctioning as well. As we can no longer repair the marquee sign, we must replace it. The Playhouse has been an anchor to downtown for 40 years, bringing the citizens of Erie to an area which has not always been so desirable. The marquee has a high degree of visibility and is the face of our organization, as the Playhouse welcomes over 32,000 visitors annually to our performances. A working marquee on the Playhouse reflects the vibrancy of our arts community and how dynamic and safe our downtown is. With the explosion of new construction and renovation taking place, it's important that the Playhouse be able to keep pace. Maintaining a building that is almost 80 years old is never easy, and though we have made many, many improvements and updates to the theater over recent years, we still haven't updated it all. And each year we are still faced with a major repair. We are able to resorb some of these, but the $37,000 to repair the marquee is simply too much to add to our budget. We are still recovering from COVID and trying not to pass the increased cost of lumber, fabric, and other materials we need to do business on to our patrons. So covering the entire cost of the marquee at this time just isn't possible for us. I thank you for your time this afternoon, and I hope that you will consider granting us the needed funds.
Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe I misunderstood something you said. At one point, I thought you said that it was beyond repair and you have to replace it with a new one.
Right. Yeah, we do have to replace it with a new one. We can't, we were able to repair it before, but now that was like the end of the parts to repair that type of sign.
So is the new sign going to be an exact replica of the old one? Is the new marquee going to be very similar to the?
It'll basically be the same marquee. It's just the electronic signage that sits inside of the marquee.
Okay, that's what's new.
That's what's
okay,
gone bad.
the facade is going to be the same.
Yeah, that won't be changed at all.
Okay, it's just the mechanics.
Yes, it's just the mechanics of it.
Because I need to get that straight.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And I looked at it yesterday. The metal part of the marquee is actually original, right? It's just
Yes, it is.
instead of the interchangeable letters, now it's the electronic panel. So really, the thing is very historic. It's the original.
Yeah, so it's actually been on a couple of movies, and because it is one of the few marquees like that that are still intact.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, I'm glad I understand now. Thank
Okay.
you for the detail.
Awesome. Any other questions?
And the cost is 37, but you're applying for 15 to try to
Right, yes,
relieve
yeah.
some of that.
Yeah, that was the maximum we were allowed to apply for.
And the only thing that I would have to mention is that because the cost is above 25,000 prevailing wage, would have to be applied to that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we have no problem with that.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And to note that the Playhouse will cover the difference between, should $15,000 be granted, the Playhouse will cover the difference. That portion of the application was also left blank, the matching funds portion. But I'm assuming that's correct, right? That the Playhouse would actually cover the difference between the grant and the actual or total cost?
Yes, he's saying yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, do we have any additional discussion around the Erie Playhouse's proposal to replace specifically the LED display components of the marquee? Not the full marquee itself, not the metal structure. The existing metal structure will remain the same, or the casing will remain the same. This is the replacement of the LED screens alone and the controls for that. Any other questions?
Just to clarify, right, electrical work, like hidden electrical work and light fixtures and stuff is not eligible for the grant, but this is actually part of the sign, even though it's an electrical part, it's part of the display.
Yeah, lighting, my understanding is lighting can be funded if it's part of the historic, if there's historic light posts or a historic sign, things like that can be the grant money can be used for that, as long as it's not interior or anything. I mean, I know that there'll be a switch box inside.
Well, it's a
but
big part of their facade.
You're right, it's a major
It's
part
like
of
the
their
major part of the
defining character of the
facade.
building, so, yeah.
Right, and I only asked that because we did have one application where it was replacing the electrical service, which is not.
Not included.
Right.
Not covered.
Right.
Well, I think the difference here is that the facade won't be a facade if it doesn't have the electricity
Correct.
functions working, right?
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions by commissioners? Hearing none, we'll go to vote. All those in favor of approving the Erie Playhouse's application for funding, please say aye or signify by saying yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Are there any opposed? Okay. The application has been approved. Moving on then to Christopher Papacello's application for funding for 3402 Old French Road. This is work proposed for a garage, and it's using shiplap siding as a replacement. And I will note that this application also has no cash match. That field is not completed, so our project cost and the grant request amount are identical numbers. So I think that we probably need to table this application.
Yeah, and he is present as well.
Unless the applicant is in the room and would like to address it.
Yeah, he's present.
He's here.
Yes, I was aware of the stipulation that I would need to pay, what was it, 10%?
10%, yeah.
And I would be prepared to pay that, yes.
Okay, very good.
10% of the 14.5?
Yes,
Okay. Right.
Were the home and the garage built at the same time?
I believe so, yes.
Can we verify that?
Looking at maps and pictures of the building and the garage together, it would be a surprise if they weren't built at the same time. I mean, we can verify that pretty easy, but yeah, it looks like they were built at the same time. The design, the looks match.
Yeah, it's a very ubiquitous garage, right? You see them all over the place, so it makes sense that it's the same age as the house.
Yeah.
When was the house built?
So
1922.
22?
So Christopher, I apologize, being
And
on Zoom
let me-
here,
let me
I
actually-
can't see who's sitting in the room itself.
Sure.
If you would like to go ahead and talk to us a little bit about your project, that'd be fantastic.
Great, yeah. And my name is actually Steven. I'm Chris's partner. We've lived together at the house for about 10 years. He couldn't make
I'm
it.
sorry,
He works.
what's your name?
Steven Hollis, Hollis. He wasn't
Okay,
able
yeah.
to attend today. He works thirds at Hammett, so he's resting.
Okie dokie. Okay.
So first, I'd like to just read what I wrote here. I didn't have a chance to submit a cover letter with my application, so I'd like to read one and submit that today. We would like to first thank you for the opportunity and consideration in the application for Historic Preservation Grant. The homeowner, Chris Papacello, and I have been living in this home for over 10 years. The brick home was built in 1922 and has great potential to be restored to its former glory. During our residence at 3402 Old French Road, we have completed many projects, including bathroom remodel, installing a new roof, and removing a lot of ivy that was growing on all sides of the home. Chris Papacello has been serving the community, working at Hammett Emergency Department on third shift for the past 17 years, and is an Erie native. He is also the newest member of the Erie United Methodist Alliance, providing permanent housing for homeless individuals in the Erie community to do what he can for Erie. I'm a cybersecurity engineer, and I've been working from home since the pandemic, doing some odds and ends work within my means. We both work very hard and have been able to complete the above-mentioned projects within those means. However, we're currently at a standstill as our funds have been tied up with these projects and could really use the assistance with this preservation grant. We have been working with Solid State Construction, who is also a wonderful contributing member of the Erie community, and have confirmed that the structure can be saved with the appearance and same aesthetic to preserve the home. Thanks again for your consideration, and if you have any questions, you can reach out on my number. It's on the application.
So what is the new, the shiplap will look a little bit different, won't it? Or will it?
I don't know. I don't do construction, but Nick did confirm that it would have the same aesthetic.
And this would be wood shiplap, or would it be another material?
I'm not sure either.
Do you know, what is the material of the siding? Do you have anything about the siding?
It's wood.
The existing, or you're talking about the new?
The new.
The new.
Do you guys have the?
Yeah, I've got the quote here.
Yeah, I have the quote here.
Yeah.
Doesn't say for sure what the material would be. My assumption, it may be wood, but it doesn't say for sure.
Maybe they could just get us a picture of the siding, or like a brochure from the company or something?
I'm sure that could be arranged. Sure. I mean, yeah, it would be wood. I mean, that's not an issue.
Good.
Okay. And would the windows be left in place?
They'd probably be restored as well. A couple of them are broken, so
Okay.
yeah.
And is the issue that the structure's failing? That's what I believe.
Yeah.
And he's going to be, the contractor's going to be revising the interior so it's not failing and redoing 2x4 studs?
Right,
Strengthening, sistering up beams? I'm guessing that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, so the back wall is a load-bearing wall, which has started to fail. You'll see the beams there that he put in to make sure that's good. So that's what we would be restoring as well as the outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
So structurally, you know what we're doing, but the question is the exterior, whether, I mean, I would hope that siding could be preserved and reused instead of buying new, but, you know, I guess that's the question.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks pretty dilapidated, but if there's a way to restore it, I'm sure we can find a way. But I'm not sure. Out of my expertise.
The bulk of the work is perhaps the securing the structure.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're not aware of what percentage of the total the shiplap siding is?
Yeah, I'm not sure. No.
Well, maybe we could get that information before we vote.
So you're,
The bid is, I mean, it doesn't break it down into individual what versus siding versus support, but, I mean, there is a bid for the entire project, which is under the amount, under the 15,000. So, I don't know if that makes a difference to anybody or not.
Well, I mean, it just, I just thought we might want to see what it looks like before we approve it.
Nick,
We could table it and approve it after we see what it looks like.
Nick did assure me that it would look the same, although it might be different material if he needs to.
It would still be the same
Appearance.
look of the
Yes.
regular
Yeah, he did
wood-sided
assure me of
building.
that.
Mhm.
Yes.
and so commissioners, Craig, are you proposing a motion to table this application?
Well, I think,
Is
you
that what
know,
I was hearing from you?
when you hear the word siding, it can be a lot of things. You know, I just wanted to know what it looked like, since we are concerned with the exterior appearance of properties that we're supporting.
We could also vote, and if there is,
Yeah,
the
vote with
commissioners
the
are allowed
disclaimer.
to vote on recommendation.
Yeah,
Vote or with condition, like vote to approve, but it needs to be wood replaced with wood, or I know there's some wood substitutes that look very similar. I think anything but vinyl would be
Sure.
the only thing. that-
Yeah, I mean, the quote doesn't state anything as being vinyl.
Okay.
I believe the shiplap is a type of wood, but I can't confirm, I don't know.
Okay.
But
well, if we could
otherwise-
just see, what it is, what it looks like, I think that would be good. But I think if we wanted to approve it pending that issue.
I think if the contractor could confirm what he's including in his bid, what's here, whether it's replacement of new material for rotted material, whatever, and then reusing existing where he can. If he just kind of confirms that, I think that would be answer the question, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little more detail.
Yeah. Just kind of
And-
explain a little bit further what's new, what's existing, what's being restored, that type of thing.
And what's it gonna look like? What,
Mhm. Okay, and what would that process look like? Would I need to come back with that update, or can
You
I
could
submit that?
email-
you could probably email him and have him redo the quote, and then just send us a example of this particular product.
And you can email me all of that material. I'm not sure if you have my emails. I know Christopher does. I've got your email address here, so I can send you an
Yeah,
email
that'd be
on
great.
that.
Yeah, it actually went to junk. It was
Okay.
by chance that I saw the email, and I was like, oh, it's tomorrow, okay.
Okay, good. Okay, yeah.
Really needs work.
So yeah, you can do that. I mean, I know Nick has
Not
applied for
arguing
another
on
grant,
what's going
and
on.
we had to ask questions, and he was really quick to respond, so he should be.
Yeah. He's a good friend of
So
mine, so.
I'll make a motion that we table this until we hear back on the siding, on what will be used. I have the identical garage, the same age, and the old wood is covered with lead paint, and you cannot keep paint on it. It really ought to all be replaced. But let's get some detail on exactly what the material. Shiplap typically means individual pieces of wood like is
Yeah.
on there now, as opposed to vinyl siding where it's all linked together. But let's confirm that, and then we'll,
But not just the material, but what's the plan for, are you replacing some of it, retaining some of it, and then what's that product? Kind of
Okay.
two
And we
parts.
could also, I mean, I can't vote, but you could vote with the table to recommend that if wood can be saved or salvaged or reused, that would be recommended.
Okay. Would I be able to receive an email with your
Go ahead.
recommendations and what is
Yeah,
needed?
I can
so that I
absolutely do
can be more pointed with
Yeah,
my response?
Absolutely,
Cool.
I can do that.
Wonderful, thank you.
So we have to go back to the motion on the table. So Jeff did actually make a motion. So Jeff motioned to table the application until the additional information was provided. Do we have a second for that motion?
I second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to table this application, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, excellent. Since this has been tabled for additional information, I would also recommend we make adjustments then to the application to actually show that the applicant is committed to funding the 10% required match.
Do you need me to resubmit my application then, or?
no, let's make it formal.
I
I
like
just
that we
think if you
put it-
could provide,
Just simply
if
make
the
edits to the-
contractor could give the,
Yeah,
that's
the revised bid.
right, with more detail.
Better description of the material.
And then if we could see what the new product looks like.
Okay,
Yeah,
great. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, moving to the next application on the list, we have Kendall Properties. Do we have a representative from this agency or property in the room today?
Yes, yes, he's here.
Which one is it?
No.
Is that a no?
I'm sorry.
Oh, here, sorry, and my wife is also on the Zoom call, Lauren, as
I think
well.
he withdrew his, I
Oh, very good, okay.
thought.
Well, please, share with us a little bit about your project.
Sure. 512 West 6th Street. It's an old Victorian home, Queen Anne Victorian. Looking to finish the exterior painting and, if there's some rotten wood, fix that and repaint it. I believe it's going to be able to be scraped and painted. You pick classic, like historic colors of that time period, and looking forward to seeing what preserving it and keeping it from any further rot or anything like that.
How long have you owned the building?
I don't have anything like this.
3 years coming up on. I guess my wife can confirm that.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
Count up on 3.
Chris, do we have his proposal here? I don't see it.
Yeah, I have copies if you need one. I believe I gave you one.
I
It's just
well-
listed under 512 West 6th Street.
Okay, I have Adams.
Or give you one.
It's a very long one.
Yeah, that's helpful. Okay, great, thank you.
Do we have questions from other commissioners?
No, I think this is
No,
a true
it's-
application of what you're doing the right things, what we're trying to encourage, right? Repairing the old material and restoring wood that's rotted, and so I think it's very worthwhile. You're doing the right things.
Thank you.
It's a great house. Is it a single family?
Okay, all those,
No, it's
Yeah.
a multi-family. Yeah.
How many units are in it?
7.
7? Oh, that's a lot.
They're all individual units too, there's not like a shared space.
Um,
okay, so those in favor of approving this application, please say yes or signify by aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Fantastic. Application has been approved for funding.
Thank you. Am I able to ask just a couple
Thank you both
questions?
for being here.
I can reach out to you. I just have questions how it works as far as you want to ask now.
You can ask now, or, yeah.
So it looked like we go ahead and do the project, take pictures along the way, and then what would the timeline be for reimbursement? Is it?
It's, once the project is complete, and it's inspected,
Excuse me.
like a final report, like a couple page report on what was changed, pictures, things like
Sure.
that, before, during, and after. Once that's submitted, I'll probably schedule a time to come look at the property, just to verify, and then I'll submit the kind of a report to the redevelopment authority, that the project is complete and meets all the guidelines. And then I'm not sure how the timeline is for the redevelopment authority. It shouldn't take long, my understanding. I can absolutely reach out to the director and see what their timeline is.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just like, I guess in a general scheme, like, would you say it's within the calendar year?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. That was my only question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, moving on then to the next application. We have an application from Laura Bepko for 641 West 6th Street.
And I believe she's on Zoom.
Yes, I'm on Zoom.
Oh, fantastic. Please, talk to us a little bit about your project.
Okay, so I initially submitted with a bunch of projects. I have a lot of work I need to do on my house, but I figured I resubmitted because it would be easier, just one big project. So I submitted for brickwork and painting and wood repair. The last time I had this quoted, was probably 10 years ago, and it was over 15,000, so I'm confident that we'll be well over that maximum amount. But just a little history on the house. So this house, I've lived in for about 10 years, but it was my grandmother's house, and she purchased it in 1970, so it's been in the family for a while. And I want to do as much as I can to keep it looking historic and up to date, and I can guarantee that the brickwork has never been done on the house since we've had it in the family, so I'm sure there's a lot of work that needs done.
Is this a single-family residence?
Yes, it's in the garden court.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it needs a lot of work right now with the bricks and stuff. So I'm hoping that I can get somebody who is really good with historical work to help me, and then pick some paint colors that would be appropriate. I know all the work that's been done on the houses on 6th Street looks great. I don't know that they could do that exact type of repair on my house for the dollar figure, but I'm hoping that I can get somebody who could do a really good job.
I tell you what, for this application, I think it's a great project. I just would like to see an actual cost estimate and some of those details. I think that would really help this application. It would give us a kind of a better idea of the full scope of work if you were able to reach out to a contractor to get kind of a full scope of work outlined, as well as a cost estimate for doing the work in 2023.
Sure.
Which is vastly different than 2013.
Right, definitely.
But that's again, those are my comments. Commissioners,
Don't we want that?
do you have additional comments or questions?
Yeah, I had the same comment, as there's really no proposal or anything that really confirms the work or confirms that it could be completed for the amount. So yeah, I was looking for more detail also.
And a breakdown.
So can we table it and let, Ms. Bepko, can you get us your information like within the month?
Yeah, I just need to find a contractor that can come and give me some quotes, but that's not a problem. I mean, I'll look around.
Okay, so Craig, I am going to treat your comment as a motion. Do we have a second to table this application until next month?
I'll second.
Excellent. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to table the application until further information is received, signify by aye.
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 Opposed? Awesome. Laura, thank you for being here.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, the next application is from Mark Adams. His application pertains to 4014 Balboa Avenue. Let's see. Is Mark in the room or
I am.
online?
I'm right here.
Shoot, go right ahead. Tell us
Okay,
about
I'm
your
ready.
project.
So this house on Balboa Avenue I've had for about 30 years. And inside the house, it's absolutely adorable. I redid the bathroom, the kitchen, the carpeting, the windows, everything. But outside, if you look at the pictures, it's painfully ugly to look at. And so I asked my friend Nathan Chamley from Absolute Construction to give me a quote on putting vinyl siding up. And that's what you're looking at. And I think his quote was like $13,000 and change. But if you look at the house, one of the things I was talking to Nathan about was taking those two front windows, since we're putting new siding up, and just kind of moving them apart from each other and centering them with the house so it doesn't look like the house is lopsided, and then putting shutters on. And that was not part of his original quote. So I was wondering if I get approval on this, is it possible to add like another $1,500 for the windows? I mean, I'd be glad to put them in myself. I just think that right now it's an opportunity to do something like that, because if I'm going to reside the house, it doesn't matter what kind of, I can restructure the windows and move them and then just cover it all up with siding. It'll look gorgeous.
No, what kind of siding are you going to?
So it's just going to be vinyl siding, although in the front he's going to put like a cedar shake siding, so it just won't be plain siding.
Vinyl. cedar,
Vinyl, plastic siding.
Vinyl cedars, not real cedar shape.
It's vinyl.
Vinyl,
Yes.
okay.
And right now, the siding that's on it is made with asphalt. And if you just put a ladder up to it, the house was built in the late 1800s, and the siding is literally fragile.
Is it asbestos?
No, it's not. No. No, it's asphalt. It's like roof shingle material. But like I said, I mean, I think you can see pictures. There's holes in it. There's literally holes in the siding.
It looks like it's probably from the 30s or 40s, is the current siding.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Oh, I was just commenting that the current siding looks like it's probably 1930s or 40s.
Yeah, it was built in, yeah, I think it was resided one time. But other than that, the house is in nice shape.
Call me crazy.
Are you leaving it in place and then siding over it?
I'm sorry?
Are you leaving that siding in place?
Yes, I am.
And
He's just
siding
going to
over it?
side right over it. I did ask him to take the electrical wiring and move it away from the house, put the siding underneath it so that all the electrical wiring is exposed. But you can see in the pictures too, there's just a ton of coaxial cable stuck in that house. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to rewire the house for cable, and then he's going to side over the cable wiring so I don't have to see any of that crap. I'm just trying to make the house look nice. You go down that street, and there's a lot of really just well-kept houses, and you're kind of turned to that one every time you go down because I mean, structurally it's nice, but it's just, I think the house was just kind of built by somebody, they didn't put a whole lot of thought into it.
Is there shake that's actually, like made out of wood rather than?
So what's going to happen, just on the front, he's going to put a shake up that's made out of the same material as the siding, and it's going to be the same color. And I'm going to go with like a green similar to the shirt, and then the shakes will have that green in it already imprinted on it. And if I move the windows, then I can put shutters up, and I thought it would be nice to put like a dark green shutter up there too.
Yeah.
So the cedar shake vinyl will only be on the front?
Yeah.
Does that mean that the
That
sides
stuff's
will
really
have the
expensive, so I'm just
vertical
putting
vinyl?
it on the front. On the sides, it'll have traditional lap siding. And it'll all match. It'll look nice.
I think that is a transformational change to that house, right? It would really make a huge difference to it and help the neighborhood out a lot.
It does,
yeah.
and right now, there's like cedar shakes on the house, so I kind of wanted to stay with that theme, to make it look like an old house, but an updated old house.
You mentioned moving the windows. Is that
Yeah, I'm gonna
part of
move
this
the windows.
application, or you're going to reapply to move the windows, or what?
Well, that was my question. I mean, right now, for $13,000, I'm going to recite it, but Nathan has me down to start in the middle of May, so I have a good month or so. But I was just going to go up there. The windows that are up there right now, I put in 30 years ago, and I know how they come. They'll come right out. And so I'll take them out, and then I'm just going to make the hole bigger on both sides and put the new windows in, frame it off, and then he's just going to side over it.
So just to be clear, the guidelines say sweat equity is not included. Sweat equity cannot be paid for by the grant, so you should have him do the windows. Your labor can't be charged against the grant.
I'm not charging anything for my labor.
Okay,
Nothing.
you're just the cost of the windows, you're saying.
So it's
That's
not
fine.
part of this application, right? It's not part of the application.
I'm really hard of hearing. I had brain surgery.
I'm sorry, the windows aren't part of the application. You're
They're
just saying
not. It
you're
was
going
an
to move
after-
them,
it was
and
an
then they're going to do the
afterthought.
siding.
Yeah, it was
And
an
the
afterthought.
siding's the application,
Yeah.
okay.
What- Chris,
But you're asking if you can increase the grant to cover the
Yes,
cost of
that's
the
what I'm
windows.
asking.
Like
I
if you
could
want to
have
revise it.
$1,500 for the windows, I would be elated. That would be really nice.
Chris, have we made any rules about siding? Like, I know historic preservation usually does not like vinyl siding.
Generally not, but it really depends. The current siding that's on the house, it's historic in nature, but it's not original to the house. The house probably had originally wood siding. So it's also not a National Register eligible building. So my only concern is about the windows. That's a bigger change than just the siding. So you're changing the fenestration pattern of the house. It really depends. I don't. It's up to you guys on whether or not to approve that or not. In this case, I don't have much of an issue with vinyl siding. It's not ideal. Some preservationists wouldn't like that at all. It's not ideal for a lot of places. In this case, I don't have much of a problem with it.
Okay.
Well, what's the difference? You know, like, it's a slippery slope. You know, when are you allowed to use siding and when are you not?
You know, it is left really up to the discretion of the commission. Again, if
Well,
this
did
were-
you look at any other types of siding other than vinyl?
I'm going to Google cedar shake siding so you can see it.
Okay.
There are other types of siding that I could go with, but this one matches the siding that's on the house the closest. I mean, if you didn't know and you came back and saw this house 3 weeks later, you might not think that it was resided, because it really does resemble the siding that's on there. You know, they're going to be large panels with lines going this way to resemble the cedar
Right.
wood.
And,
So,
and a lot of modern
On the
products
front only.
do a really good job of mimicking.
Mimicking, yeah, no, I agree, I agree. I was just, I was thinking not just about Mark's project, but
Yeah.
the future, and
Yeah.
I think this is an issue we kind of need to
Yes. So,
It's a,
define.
it's a fine line to walk.
all right, so Mark, I'm going to make a motion to table your application. Come back to us with the window pattern in the
no,
front.
you know what?
and
I'll
the
skip the
siding.
windows.
Well,
I will be
but-
happy to skip the windows.
But
It's not
the
that big a
siding,
deal.
the siding, we still want to see some details on what the siding is. And then you can revise it and forward it to Chris.
I mean, I'll show you. You want to see what the shakes look like?
No, I want you to revise your application formally and send it to Chris.
So, when would I be coming back?
In a
I
month?
don't think you need to come back if you just send the revised. Send
Oh,
us a
okay.
picture of the siding, send us a picture of the cedar shakes, the windows,
Oh,
send it
okay.
to Chris.
I can do that, and I'll just go through you
Go through me, and then they'll vote. Then we meet once a month, and they would vote on it in May.
next month. Okay, and I'm going to continue. I'm going to start this project then in May. All right, outstanding. Thank you, gentlemen.
I wasn't say just specify that the different shingles that are in the front and the side, you just try to be more specific, because you had said it in your discussion, but maybe confirm in the application. Where the shingles are going, like an example of it, just a copy of that shingle, just so we have information, so there's no questions.
Okay, now, you can't start the project until the grant is awarded. That's part of the guideline. So I understand you've got a contractor committed, but you know, that's the.
So the next meeting's in May.
Yeah, but in May.
I'll just wait here for you guys in May. I'll
Yeah,
send you the
yeah, it
information.
should be May 4th, I think.
Perfect, because I told them middle of May, so I'm going to keep them on the books,
Yep.
because they're hard to get.
Yes, right, right.
All right, very good, thank you.
So we have a motion on the table that hasn't been voted on yet, so Jeff made a motion.
Hey, yeah,
to
if you guys
table
want to vote to
this,
go ahead.
To table the application for additional information to be submitted. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor of tabling this for more information, please signify by aye.
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 Aye, I'm sorry, aye.
Opposed? Okay, tabled for more information. And just again, to reiterate what I think Dave had mentioned, in providing the information, I think it's important to be clear the style of vinyl siding for the front, as well as the style of vinyl siding for the sides, because I think it was indicated that only the cedar shaker vinyl siding would be installed on the front of the building, and the vertical vinyl siding would be installed elsewhere on the building. So I think Dave, that's what you were pointing out, right? The fact
Yes,
that we
yeah,
would
just
want
more
to see
detail about what he had
kind
just
of both
noted to
both
us.
choices.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Moving on then. We have the application from Samuel Barzano, 261 to 263 West 26th Street and 2601 Myrtle Street. Do we have a representative in the room?
Here he is.
We do. I'm Sam's sister and his power of attorney. My name is Julie Monticello.
Oh, thanks. Okay, great.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Which intersection in Myrtle is it?
It's right at the corner of 26th and Myrtle.
26th of Myrtle.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
It originally housed, well, the building itself was built in 1895. It originally housed, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with South Erie Pizzeria, but that was my family's business.
Uh-huh.
And so my brother bought this building back in the 70s from the original owner, Mr. Ivan Weed, whose his father owned it. So we've got some history. My brother is 83 years old, and he's having some health issues, and that's why his income has diminished. And I saw this grant, and I thought, he loves to keep his properties in Erie, and he owns several properties in Erie. He lives at 635 West 26th Street. He always says it's the prettiest house on the block. So he loves to keep his houses up to date and his properties up to date, and it's pristine usually all the time. But this building is starting to show some wear. We had a contractor look at it, and he said it's a flat roof, there's going to be some roofing. I can see it just from looking at it. The paint is chipping on the brick. The block in the back of the building needs to be re-cemented, re-stuccoed, and painted. We want to keep everything the same. It's an attractive building. It's the gateway to AHN, the campus, and that's why I'm here. I just thought $10,000 we're asking for, I thought was a reasonable amount. The contractor that I had look at it, Mr. Green, and he could provide more pictures and information and everything, but I didn't want to get him started on anything until I came and saw what you folks could do. But just painting alone, the painting and the pointing of that block in the back, there's a sagged roof that's over the garage that needs to be kind of bolstered up and restructured. So all of that, you could spend $10,000 pretty quickly, I guess, in improving. But I wanted you to see that we'd like to keep that building looking good. And all the grant monies definitely would help with those impending costs. Any other questions? Sam's been a lifelong resident.
Are you going to paint the what is this? What is on
The rear?
No, on the front around the windows.
We're not painting that. That's the stone.
The stone. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But that's not original.
Pardon me? It's
That-
not
no,
original to
no.
the bill. It's from 1970, so I don't know if that qualifies, but, because the building was, again, built in 1890.
I love the picture of the original, but the
The little
hoagies.
pizza shop.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was it housed our first family business.
yeah. Well,
And then
it was darling.
He bought that building, and then, of course, he built a new building across the street that eventually, in 1985, St. Vincent bought from us. So, again, a lot of history. We go way back with City of Erie and the history with City of Erie.
It'd be kind of fun to take it back to that look. That was.
I don't know that, we want to make it look that. I think that's when horse and buggies were around.
Right. So, I'm going to make a motion that you come back to us with a detailed estimate of what you're going to do. Because Chris is going to have to come and judge if the work is complete. And right now, I'm not exactly sure what we're paying for, repairs to this. It has to be exterior. I believe it's a worthwhile project. It's a highly visible building,
Yes.
It's on the corner like that.
Yes.
But just so that we understand what you're doing so we can judge that it is actually complete.
Exactly, I understand, and I didn't want to go ahead with any, commitment
Sure.
with a workman unless
I
I
don't-
knew that there were monies available.
Right, I don't
didn't
like
wanna,
exercise
like I said,
contractors
get started on
and-
something.
yeah.
But I can
Yeah.
certainly get numbers for you.
That would, yeah. I think it's very worthwhile. But I don't like to exercise contractors either. Give me a price, give me another price, give me another price. Let's do it once.
Yeah, this gentleman that we're working with, he's been with our family for a long time, with Sam, with all the properties that he owns in Erie. And he's very reputable, I feel like, and an honest man. And he's the one that said, you know, it's really, in Sam's words, it's going downhill. And we don't want that to happen. We have two buildings that are right next door on the same side of the street, that their shingles are falling off their roof and hitting our roof on that building there, and it's causing damages. So we're looking at a lot more than just what probably grant monies would get, but I thought if it could help him get started, get working on it, that's what I wanted to do.
Sure, I think it's worthwhile, but need a better breakdown on the cost.
Yeah, and say also.
So we have a
if you
motion on the table from,
Yeah, I was just going to say that if you have a proposal, kind of break down, just make sure you have enough money to pay for it or all the resources there. But yeah, it would just kind of help us to kind of
I understand.
judge what's being done.
My
I mean, it's
thought was-
definitely a well-worth project, very visible, so.
I understand. My thought was, I'll work with what I have,
Yeah.
you know, and if I've got it from you folks, then that would be a starting point. But, yep, I can do whatever is necessary.
Right.
Okay?
And I think that can be just a form of a revised quote email to
I
you,
can send it
right?
to Chris. I'd be happy to. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Thanks again for all your time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
so we have a motion on the table to table the review of this application until additional information is provided. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to table the application, please signify by aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, moving on then to the Spencer House Bed and Breakfast application to do some repairs to
Oh,
their
here it
sleep.
was, right here, 26 and
Do we have a representative from Spencer House in the room?
They're coming.
Hi, my name's Steve Fries. I'm the owner through our corporation, Shine Lake Hospitality, of Spencer House Bed and Breakfast at 519 West 6th Street, which is a Victorian mansion built in 1876,
Yeah.
which is one of the very fortunate homes in Erie to still have its original wood interior as well as exterior. And one of the things is that we need to work on is on the exterior with our roof, which is the original slate. The majority of it is original slate. So we have a couple areas on the roof that have developed some leaks that are actively leaking into the attic. So in order to avoid any further damage to the structure of the house, we need to get that work repaired. And of course, slate work is very, very expensive. So we have a proposal here for you to have the roof. I'm talking about the main upper roof. If you're familiar with Spencer House, there's an upper roof section, and then there's also a porch roof section that's lower down. This would apply to the main upper section. We don't have the funds to be able to do all of it at once, but we're going to do the upper section, which is the part that's currently leaking into the attic. And the proposal that we have is for $23,000 some change is the total bid that we have, or should I say the estimate that we have from a contractor. And we're asking for $15,000 from the commission, and then we will, of course, self-fund the remaining $8,000 and change that's left for that. So I'm
yeah, you can't let that go very long.
No.
Right.
You can't, and especially when you're getting slate work done, it's hard to get on their schedule. Their schedule is out pretty far, so he's holding a spot for us coming up here in probably June. So we're hopeful that this gets approved so we can move forward and get that taken care of.
I think that's
I think it's a very worthwhile
it's a
project, really what the grant's
wonderful
for was
structure,
preserving buildings like that.
and
yes.
it shouldn't be leaking.
Yeah, our goal is to maintain it as original as absolutely possible. So he's using like slate as well as copper, which is all the metal work would have originally been copper. So he's using copper to replace metal that's basically rotted through, which is why it's leaking. So, any other questions?
I had a question. Your contractor, I forgot their name. It's from Union City.
Jason Clem.
They have experience in this type of slate, especially because really installing a slate roof and repairing a slate roof are pretty complicated.
Right.
I take it he has experience in doing that because we want to make sure it's done right.
That's pretty much all he does. He's not a roofer that also does slate. He's a slate roofer.
He's a slate man.
That's all he does. He's done a number of jobs. He's done some work in Erie. He's done a number of pretty good sizable jobs down in Pittsburgh area. He's from the, I think the Oil City area or somewhere around Meadville area, if I remember correctly. So he's done a number of slate work because I asked for some reference as well, because I realized that working on slate roof isn't something that just any roofer can do. And unfortunately, part of the problem is that past owners apparently had some roofers that probably didn't know what they were doing, that didn't do it properly, which has created the problem that we're seeing today with some broken slate, some slate that they actually just replaced with pieces of metal slid up underneath and things like that.
Right, which doesn't do the trick.
So
yeah.
it doesn't do the trick.
So his replacement, it'll include the replacement of any rotted deck,
Yes.
the membrane flashings. It's not just sliding something in there.
Oh, no. He's going to be removing the slate that's presently in those areas, and addressing any issues underneath, and then replacing any slate, and of course, if there's any needs, with the same slate if possible, and if not, he has some like slate in his slate yard that he'll be using to replace those that are broken, or to replace like the metal pieces that somebody didn't really do well before. So he's going to be checking all the underneath issues and making sure that's correct before he puts any more slate on. And then he'll be, through the entire roof, he'll be replacing broken slate.
Did you take these pictures?
Yes.
Wow, so you were up on that roof.
Yes. The roof's actually fairly easy to access, so it's up there pretty high, though.
Yeah, you're way up there.
Yeah, there's a hatch that you can access from the attic to get up, and the main top of the roof is actually almost flat, so you can walk around the edges, carefully, obviously, but yeah, those pictures were taken from up on top of the roof. Any other questions?
I make a motion, we approve this.
I second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we just have 3 left here to go through for today's meeting. The next one is from Tammy Janda, 421 East 14th Street. Do we have do we have Tammy in the room or someone on her behalf?
I don't think.
Okay. Well,
Well, where,
I don't mind mentioning that I think that this one has insufficient information as well.
I'm sorry, say that again, Melinda. Say that again, Melinda.
I think that this one also has insufficient information, at least from my perspective. I don't think that we have enough information to make an educated decision.
Right, I agree. They need to give us some details on what they're going to construct, especially on that second floor railing. I've seen that done nicely, and I've seen it done badly. If we want to keep with the historic character of the
Right.
building, we want to try and match the original construction.
right.
I had a question when I saw it. It looked like there's movement in the structure. If the foundations are okay, if there's going to be continued movement, or if that's something that just appeared over time. But I couldn't tell from the information given. Because there's like a masonry crack. Usually there's a masonry crack, there's a reason for that.
Right.
Maybe it's just because it's 200 years old, or maybe because there's some movement, something with the foundation or something like that. So this is a question. Maybe it's fine, but I couldn't tell from the photos, that's all.
Yeah, so this is another one that has just an incomplete scope of work. It did not include a contractor's estimate that itemized the work to be performed with the costs proposed. So, and then I would also note they do have the match requirement plugged in as $1,000, but it really should change the grant amount to $9,000. So, if going down the road we do ultimately approve this for funding, please note that the grant should be in the amount of $9,000, not 10.
I do think it's a worthwhile project. It's a house that she's trying to preserve the look on, so I think it's worthwhile. We need some more details.
Totally agree.
How does it work, Chris? Do you
So
email
will we
her?
entertain?
Yeah,
So-
I'll email with
So,
the
does someone have to
commissioner's
move to
recommendations
table
and
it?
questions.
I think so.
Yes.
Do we have to move, did we have to make a motion to table it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, indeed. That's
so
what
I will
was
make that
calling for.
motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of tabling for additional information, please signify by aye.
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 Opposed? Awesome. Okay, moving on to Mara DiTullio, 24 East 32nd Street. And so I had a question about this one just because it,
I don't think I
Chris, I
have
didn't see
this
a cover
one.
sheet from
I
you.
don't, I didn't have this
Did
one.
not get a cover sheet. This one, there were some technical difficulties when I scanned it. I emailed it and never received it, and it was because all the pictures were too large. So I had to revise it this morning. She did get it in time. I have the applications both on the in the file and on OneDrive file and present. I also have all of the pictures with me presently.
Can we see them?
Yeah, you can absolutely see them. Let me get you the application. If I were to, if I'd had the opportunity to write the cover letter beforehand, it would be similar to the others. It does meet the requirements and eligibility. It is it's a project that it certainly meets the guidelines. It would not change the historic character of the building. It's not a National Register property. There's maybe a potential district there, but there is also local eligibility status as well. So my recommendation would be to that this grant would be worthwhile and meet the guidelines.
Are there any concerns about
Can I
the replacement of the windows versus repair? And that goes to the commissioners.
They're reviewing the photos at the moment.
So, she's
Can I see
replacing the
those pictures?
windows?
Yeah, she's replacing them.
With what type
She
of
wants
windows?
energy efficient. Can I see that, please? Thanks.
It doesn't say what material, it just says double pane low E. Is it vinyl or is it wood? Is it,
I'm sure it's vinyl, right? But it doesn't say that.
like a cut
Here's
sheet
the
or?
original.
Is there something on the front of that that you mentioned, windows? Doesn't say anything about other than.
Yeah, nice to have information on the actual window that's being considered. We have all the sizes, but
Good old rope
I'm not
windows.
sure if that's material or not.
I know them well.
Double pane. Vinyl. I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
I can ask a clarifying question. That's not a problem.
clarification.
Okay. Is Ms. DiTullio here? Is anyone representing Ms. DiTullio?
All right, so I'll make a motion that we table this one and get
More info.
information.
I agree.
And specifically on the material of the window replacement, is that what we're asking?
And, well, we want to see a picture of the typical window, right? So she matching the divided lights and what's.
Well, see, here we go, that's why I wanted to make the point about so if you approve vinyl siding, then why wouldn't you approve vinyl windows?
I'm all for vinyl windows. It double insulated on.
No,
the
no, no,
windows,
no,
yeah.
I'm just saying, these are things that are coming up that we really need to define,
You're right, we're setting a precedent, right?
So did I hear someone make a motion?
I did. I
To
made a
table
motion-
this?
I made a motion to table it and to get
Oh.
more information on.
Did someone second?
I don't think so.
I'll second.
Not yet. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of tabling, please signify by aye.
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 Opposed?
Do we have?
Okay, then
do you
moving
have
on to
this
our
last
last one for today. We have Lath Wardy, 1839 Realty and 11 East 4th Street. And just a note, this actually is a National Register listed property.
Is it part of that district? Because it looks like there was the National
No.
Register listing.
It is not. It is not part of the district. It's the
Okay.
Cashier's House, Carriage House.
Okay.
I'm sorry, so.
So the Cashier's House and
East
Customs House.
They're attached. I was looking at it from
And
the
the
from where
carriage
Ember and
house.
Forge was. I was assuming it would be
Chris,
part of
do you
that.
have one of this one? I don't.
I do.
I don't have it.
And then Mr. Ward is here.
Thanks for putting me last.
Absolutely.
Alphabetical order, I'm
Yeah,
used
I
to
just,
that.
That's awesome, thank
Yeah,
you.
right,
You
you're
get to hear all the,
W.
you get to hear all the comments that we already had, and this would be the easy one, right?
Accordingly.
So I do want to mention this before, I know I'm your last one today, so I'm going to try to keep it brief, but I want to give you some milestones on this building. We acquired this building in 2000 from the architects Crowner and King. They had already done a major renovation
Right.
to that building. When we acquired the building in 2000, we did a total facelift on the inside of the building. And at that time, we did some pointing and brickwork. That was about 22 years ago. And really, the primary kind of focus of what we want to do now is we really want to button up the building. There definitely are brick and structural issues with the building. We want to take care of those. The brick needs to be replaced, repointed, and most importantly, we need to seal the brick. So that's a big part of the project that's kind of under this umbrella. We've got soffit work to do. We want to keep water away from the building, so we have some gutter work to do as well. But really, this is really, if I had to put kind of a label on this, it's really buttoning up the property. That's what we'd like to do with your cooperation.
I think it's a
Now,
very,
power
very
wash
good-
is not sandblasting, right?
No, we're not
Okay,
sandblasting
right,
anything,
okay,
no.
Okay.
I don't think the brick could handle
Pressure washing.
sandblasting
No,
right now, to tell you the truth.
Pressure washing can actually cause
I
damage.
think power
Yeah.
washing is, okay, all right. This
Well,
is a
power
very
washing
nice
can cause
detailed
damage.
thing here.
So, this property dates back to the 1830s.
It's 1839.
Although,
Mm-hmm.
it looks as if you will be working with a qualified contractor.
Yeah,
I would
these
still
are-
advocate that they test the pressure washing on an area of the brick first before kind of launching into the whole building.
Yeah,
Just because of the age of the brick.
Right, the people that we got involved in this, two of the contractors have already done work here in the past, so they're familiar with the building. And our
Okay.
zeal for to keep the, the integrity of the building. I also just want to mention to you guys kind of a fun fact. Our employees, my company's employees, have not come back to that building since COVID, but we're keeping the building because we just believe that this is the place to be right now. That building is where all the action is downtown, and we want to definitely contribute and continue to maintain ownership of the building. So even though our employees are all kind of remote working these days, unless they have a dental appointment or something downtown, we want to keep the building. So.
Okay, so apply flood coat of premium clear sealer to all brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then what you're talking about, did I see somewhere there's something that's going to be painted?
Yeah, the soffits and
the soffits. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
The chimney's also in pretty bad shape. So anywhere like I said, really anywhere we can button this up, we're going to try to do it with your help.
I have no questions at all. I
think this
used
is
to
a
work
great application.
I used to work for Crown King.
I know. I was going to say, I thought you had history.
I
with
lived in that building for 10 years, so I know every detail.
You know it, right?
Yeah, I know the brick. I know how sensitive it is. So I appreciate that you're keeping the building in order and keeping it alive. And
it's an absolutely fascinating. You guys did a great job when you renovated it, but it's just a cool, funky, quirky building. It's really neat.
Well,
it's really
congratulations to Bob Crowner and Victor King, because they did before I was even there. So congratulations to them for their hard work in preserving the building.
You guys upstairs used to have all the employees along the walls, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did the same thing.
We packed them in.
Exactly the same thing, yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve.
So those in,
I second.
awesome. Second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving this application, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, application has been approved.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Appreciate it very
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you.
you for
Thank
keeping
you.
a great old building in good shape.
Melinda, before we close out, I just kind of want to review what I will do now that we have approved applications. I'll be writing a letter. We need to probably discuss who needs to sign that letter from the commission that approves the project, the amount of the project, and that'll be sent to the redevelopment authority, who will then issue the approvals and things like that. Or issue I don't know who contacts. I'm sure we'll contact the applicant as well. But I'll write a letter. I'll work on those this week, and I'll send them, I'm guessing, to you since you're the chair, have you sign them, and then I'll send them on to the redevelopment authority for then issuance of the grant, or issuance of the contract for the grant.
And then, Chris, will you follow up with each of those applicants that we motioned to table their
Yes.
applications? I mean, many of them were here in person.
Yes.
But I think we need to be clear about our expectations for
Absolutely.
the revisions. Okay.
Yes, and I took notes on each one of those that we tabled.
Thank you.
I wonder if we, could we organize another meeting, maybe not here, and advertise it, whatever, but, because I know it's tough to get this space, but I really think that today has been great, but we are finding things we really need to define. And I think it would be good if we had sort of a work meeting that was just for that. And I actually think we might even need a committee or two that we, rely on to focus on several different issues, et cetera. So I would like to ask that we schedule another meeting. I know I won't be here at the May meeting. I'm out of town that week. But I do think that, and now our meetings are getting to the point where there are these wonderful people making applications, so we can't really spend a lot of time talking about our own organization.
Yeah, but even if we gather and vote or talk, we have to have it. It has to be a public meeting. It has to be.
Well, that's fine. Let's put an ad in the
Yeah.
paper and whatever. I mean, there's, lots of public places we could meet.
I'll have to get with probably somebody from the mayor's office to confirm what we need to do and how we need to advertise that.
I think you
I mean,
just
I'm not
have to-
opposed.
I
Yeah, I'm
think
not
you
opposed.
have
I
to-
just got to make sure that we follow all the sunshine laws and things like that.
Right, but it's not that big of a deal. You post it in the paper, and you pick a date and a place, and you do it.
One would think it would be that easy.
Well, I used to do a lot of meetings at the city hall, and
Yeah,
it
It's
was
easy.
doable.
It's easy, but it's easy, but it's not easy. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll get in touch with the mayor's office and find out what the protocol is for doing that.
Excuse me, I don't want to interrupt, but we are an applicant that we were told to be here today, but we were never called, so I don't know what to do.
Oh, which one is yours?
We're from Neely Properties.
The schoolhouse.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know, did anyone receive our information?
We got the application. It may have been my fault that we didn't get it on the actual agenda because I remember looking at it, but I've had so many applications. We can absolutely go ahead and talk about the project, and then we would probably just table it till May.
Which schoolhouse is it?
Okay.
On Peach Street.
Yeah, it's 2617 Beach Street. It's public schoolhouse number 9.
Okay,
It was
cool.
former Reagan building. We purchased that building. We've done a bunch of improvements, a roof, parking lot, lots of stuff. But it needs some brickwork done on the outside.
Mhm.
So, we put the application in, and the quotes were very high, higher than I expected, I guess. But to repoint all of the brick, although we are not able to financially do that. So we revised the proposals to have it cleaned and restored, as best as possible, but then only repointing the areas. There's mortar that is not there. So there's parts, that are missing.
So you wanted to
it needs
replace
be
missing
fixed.
mortar and...
Yes,
Mhm.
so when basically each side, we had to break it up by sides, but the application that I submitted it had all of the, the quotes in it as well, and pictures and things, but it went from 3,500 square feet to approximately 720 square feet for the actual repointing, but then cleaning and, restoring the remainder. So there's a lot of wear and tear and black, on the brick. So just trying to make it look a little bit better, but also structurally it needs work. The mortar needs work. So anyways, so it went from a very large amount down to about half of that cost. So I put the application in with the $15,000 maximum, which is about 45% of the quote.
Okay.
So we would be paying for the remainder.
Okay.
So you're the only one then, right,
Yes.
that has seen this? Oh,
Yes,
okay.
I am so sorry.
Okay.
I'm sure it's setting in the May agenda pile, so that's my fault because I've been getting so many applications. So that is my error, and I apologize.
That's okay. So anyway, yeah, I didn't want to interrupt, but I was like,
I'm
I'm glad you did.
Glad you did.
I just didn't know if we missed it or something. Okay, so I guess that's the explanation. Did
Okay.
anyone have any questions? I know you haven't seen a quote, but the contractor's quote is, within the application.
Who's the contractor, Jen? Are they qualified to do this kind of work?
Yeah, it's Antonio and Sons.
Okay. So I think some of the questions we brought up about pulse, right, is you want to make sure we don't damage the brick and,
Yes.
do it wrong.
Yeah, we try to keep everything as original as possible, so that's my concern as well.
And this is one of the coolest. I think it's the coolest school building in here.
Thank you. We love the building.
Well, I had the great fortune of touring it, so hi, Jen, how you guys doing? And it's a fantastic project. They've done incredible things with limited resources so far, so definitely a worthy application I'm looking forward to see.
Yeah. And again, that is my fault. I know it's setting in the May pile. lots of these applications. So that is my fault for not getting it correctly on this one, but I'll make sure that's added to our list and updated correctly.
So we'll come back in May?
Yeah, we'll do the vote in May. My apologies, my
I
sincerest
think they
apologies
need to
for
be
that
at the
error.
top of the list if
What's that?
possible. If
I will-
possible.
Yeah, we'll be
If
on the top of the
possible.
list. Number one on the agenda.
But in the meantime, we don't need any more clarification.
I don't think so. Yeah, their
Cycle
application.
this again.
Yeah, their application it was a really good application. There was a quote on there. There's pictures to show what's needed and of the
Well,
building.
we appreciate you coming, and we're sorry there was a glitch, and look
Thank
forward
you.
to the, and unfortunately, I won't be here in May, but I like your building. I've admired it through the years. And
Thank you.
I think
We
it
love it.
deserves TLC that you're
Yes, that's what we're trying to do,
Um,
so we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
getting. Could we try and have a meeting, like April 20, what is the beginning of that week? April 20, the week of April, like either the 24th or the 25th?
It's totally my fault.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Have a good day.
You talking about the week of the 24th?
And what is,
Well,
what is
not
the
the
purpose
week.
of the meeting?
I was wondering if we could
what's our
try
goal
and
for the
meet
meeting?
at the beginning of it, like on the, yes, on the 24th or 25th.
And to define what would we be talking about for that meeting?
Well, I have a bunch of ideas about lots of things, but for the, from today, I think we really need to figure out a policy about vinyl and about some of the processes and things that people want to do that traditionally are not advocated by the preservation community.
I think part of that was part of the guideline, as we wrote the guidelines for it. That was part of that discussion. Vinyl's a touchy subject. More modern vinyl, it's more expensive, but replicates really well, and it just depends on the building. I wouldn't recommend vinyl for anything on West 6th Street, but for the one applicant who today, that type of
Well, I
activity-
realize that, but then someone else that you deny comes back and goes, well, so-and-so did vinyl.
And a lot of that,
you
a
know.
lot of that too is the thought of National Register status. So are these buildings National Register listed or eligible? So West 6th Street, perfect example.
Chris, everything you're saying might be right, and I'm not disagreeing with you personally.
But let me finish my
I
thought.
think we should just figure this out.
I understand, but to finish my thought, if it's a National Register property, adding vinyl siding will eliminate it. It will remove it from the
Right.
National Register. Some of these buildings are not eligible for National Register at all. They're eligible to be locally designated. And so there's the difference. And we don't have any written design guidelines in place. We don't have any of that. It's all based upon the recommendations of the commission. So I
Right,
have
and
mixed
so
feelings
what
about-
are those recommendations? I mean, maybe we should specify that. That certainly there are times where these wonderful new products of technology that are not wood, could be used. But I think we need to spell that out. Because, I mean, this isn't going to end with this group of people.
I understand, which is why we are developing, part of our next round of grant funding is to ask for money to do residential design guidelines. That will help us when we're doing certificates of appropriateness for districts that are created and established. But we don't have that in place yet.
And what about the 70 stone on that building?
Well, technically, if it was put in the 1970s, it's now historic.
So,
Anything from 1973 and before now is historic, even if it's a change to an older building.
well, that makes me feel old.
I think kind of what we're talking about here, it's going to be a case-by-case basis,
Yes.
location, and even quality of window. I mean, they do make better quality vinyl windows.
Yeah.
They do make better quality vinyl siding.
Yeah.
They make asphalt shingles that are, they're called slate line. They do look like slate.
They look like
But,
slate,
you know,
right,
We don't
right.
prefer them to be the exact,
Yeah.
wood or slate, but sometimes I think we just need to consider options because of the economies and whatever. So I think it's a debate, but I think each individual case is going to be a discussion.
That's it, yeah, it really just depends. Like I said, if it's Sixth Street versus some of these other locations where they're not technically National Register eligible or things like that, that's part of my consideration, is if it's National Register listed or eligible, will these changes affect that status? In some cases, you know, if we went to the Kurtz Mansion and covered it in vinyl, well, that's gonna cause a problem to the National Park Service.
Which
so-
thing? They did to the Curtsey Mansion?
Oh, no, just if you put vinyl, if somebody came in and wanted to put vinyl on that, that's not going to happen. We're not going to approve that. But some of these smaller, older vernacular homes, with the quality of modern materials, I don't have too much of a problem with things like that. I think
And that's why I
most
was
people-
asking for a window type. I want to see the product
Yeah,
because they
exactly.
do make better quality products. So that's what I want to see.
Absolutely.
If they're going to offer it, I'm not going to say, well, I don't like it
Absolutely.
because I imagine that it's not going to be a good product.
Absolutely, and I think today what we did with asking folks to kind of revise or to clarify so we understand what that looks like, how it's going to look, I really think that's a step to take because it is a case-by-case basis.
Fully acknowledge that, but I just have a feeling some of these types of products will come back to haunt us. And I want us to have adequately structured our bylaws or our platform or whatever we call our guiding light, that maybe it's just what we've just said. Case-by-case basis, eligibility for different stratas of historic worth, but I think that should all be spelled out.
And if we do approve it, we give the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that when we do have to go back and if someone says, well, you've approved it last time, well,
Absolutely.
let's look back at that and say, we approved it because of A, B, and C.
Absolutely.
So I think we just make sure and support all of our decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is, like we mentioned with the shiplap, we could do an approval with conditions, and I think spelling all of that out, what we're looking for, what we would recommend is actually should be spelled out. Absolutely. And I don't know if that's also covered under the contract or not. I might need to clarify that, like if we have recommendations, if that's part of the contract or not.
Okay, well, but these are
I think
things we
quite
could
honestly,
discuss,
Chris,
and
Good,
You
Melinda.
don't approve an application until you're comfortable with the scope of work proposed in the application.
I agree.
I mean, period.
I agree.
Because the contract is going to refer back to the scope of work in the application, so that even if the applicant, let's say they have a contractor drop out, if they have a change of contractor, I would actually recommend that revision they have to seek approval for that revision.
Okay.
Again, when the agreement is signed, it's signed based on the information provided in the application,
Agreed.
which is a specific cost estimate and scope of work, so on and so forth, that have been reviewed and approved by the Historic Review
Yes.
Commission. So I don't know that we should conditionally approve anything, just to make sure that we've got our ducks in a row.
Sure. And I think everybody's asking good questions, and I think the things that are tabled, perfectly fine. I think the questions are good and necessary, and it seems like everybody's understanding of those too, so I'm pretty pleased with this round.
Oh, no, I think today was great. I just think it raised some issues and.
Yeah, and a lot of that.
And maybe now that we've got all these people showing up and wanting to be dealt with during a meeting, we need to
Be
occasionally.
better prepared than figuring it out on the fly like this. I agree with you. So I'm going to make a motion that we set up a meeting, whatever it takes to do that, to discuss these issues. Now that we've been through a dozen of these things, we have some ideas of what to talk about and agree. I would also like to see from the redevelopment authority, what is the terms and conditions? When are they going to issue the grant agreement? Because some of these people, like that one guy wants to start in May. Well, it might take them 6 weeks
Yeah.
to issue the grant, and then they ask, how long do we get paid? That could, I don't know.
All of which are things we should be able to answer. and we
Yeah.
can't.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
So I agree.
All right, except I'm going to say, don't make it the week of May 25th, because I'm going to the oral surgeon, and I won't be much good for
no,
anything, so.
I was hoping we could meet that week in April when, and then
I'll see what I can do and what the schedule, but the only condition is it can't be an evening meeting. We have to be out of the building by, I think it's 5:30 now, or 5 or 5:30.
Okay.
we could meet in the snack room. I mean, we can meet in
We can
all
meet
sorts of
anywhere as
rooms.
long as it's publicly accessible.
Well, anybody can go in the snack room.
Well, I understand, but as long as we still have to be out of the building by 5:30. Otherwise, it's overtime for security and things like that. That's why we had to move our meetings back to 1 o'clock in the afternoons.
Well, could we have a meeting, not necessarily here, any place in City Hall? What about that room back there that's so nice?
As long
That-
as we're out of here by 5:30.
Well, that's fine. So have the meeting at 3:30 or
Yeah.
something.
Now that Frank's gone, I'll have to figure out who I have to contact. But I'll contact somebody and figure out schedules and see what I can
Have
get.
you ever been in this room out back here, the city council, like
Yeah.
their meeting chambers?
The
It's
caucus room here.
Yeah, this one. It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's a very nice room.
Yeah, what I'll do is
It'll be perfect, actually, because you're at one big table.
room 500 in the mayor's office would be good too, and that's probably would be the easiest one to get scheduled.
Just please don't do it between April 27th and May 8th or whatever. I'm out of town.
I'll email the mayor's assistant and see if room 500, when room 500 is available, so you get some dates, and then I'll send those out to everybody to see what the best times are.
So we have a motion on the table, Melinda.
All right.
Oh, I heard.
Okay.
Okay, so we have do we have a second for the motion?
I move that we have a meeting.
Which is to schedule an April meeting.
I already moved that.
Oh, you said you moved. I'm seconding.
Jeff,
Okay.
Jeff,
Okay.
do we have any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by aye.
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 Opposed?
Okay.
Okay, hearing none, we will go forth and,
Great.
thank you, Chris, for, helping with the, additional meeting.
Yes, I'll get that all.
Are there any other items?
Should not be.
Okay, I appreciate that. There's like a 10-second delay,
I figured.
maybe 5-second delay.
No worries.
All right, well, thank you all. I think it was a really good meeting, and
Well,
Yeah.
I'm
before we go
excited.
anywhere,
These
we need a
people
motion
are,
for adjournment.
We need a vote to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fantastic. Thanks, everyone. Take care.